morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we are going to rejoice and be glad in it. We've got a wonderful day planned of fellowship and praise and worship on today. But as I told you last week, we're starting a 5-day devotional with 2 steps per day from what you can see on your screen, 10 steps to destiny. And I want to thank you for joining us at this early morning hour on Sunday morning just to begin this process. If I were to ask everyone out there today, what is it you want out of life, or do you want to be successful? I would venture to bet that every single person wants to be successful in life. And if you're going to be successful in life, as we are winding down this year of 2020, moving into 2021, then we're going to have to learn how to set some goals. Research has shown that people have more difficulty setting goals than they do actually accomplishing them once they are set. Many times, the hardest part is sitting down and thinking specifically and in concrete terms about what God wants us to do with our lives. The fact is that we have a difficult time of planning, but I used to hear my grandfather say, and it's so appropriate, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. A national survey taken a few years ago determined that slightly less than 1/3 of Americans were living at the level of basic subsistence. A little more than half were just getting by. 1/10 were moderately successful, and only 3% could be described as highly successful. Do me a favor, type in, I want to be in the 3%. I want to be in the 3%. This same survey pointed out that in terms of attitude, 27% had made no effort at all to plan for their future. 60% had given some thought to it. They had some idea, some vague idea where they were headed, but not much. 10% had a good idea where they were headed, but only 3%, again, 3% had identifiable written goals. The interesting thing about this survey was that there was only one major difference between the moderately successful and the highly successful. In every other area, education, talent, resources, skills, they were basically equal. The one difference between the moderately successful and the highly successful was that those who were highly successful had totally definable written goals. If you want to succeed in life, you have to set goals. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And I don't want you to take my word for it. Let's go to the Bible to see what the Bible has to say about goal setting. Proverbs 16:9 says we should make plans counting on God to direct us. Proverbs 24:3 and 4 says any enterprise is built by wise planning, becomes strong through common sense, and profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the facts. What's the point? It's good sense to plan. It's good sense to establish goals in every area of your life, in your relationships, in your family, on your job, your business, your finances, your fitness and nutrition. As a church or community of like-minded individuals, we must have goals. Go on and type that in. We must have goals. We must have goals. Proverbs 13:16 says, every prudent man acts with knowledge, but a fool lays open his folly. Wise people plan ahead. Wise people set goals. One of the things that one of my partners has said years ago that I've taken with me, it's if it's not written, it's not real. If you let me just say it the way I want to, if it ain't written, it ain't real. And as we are at the end of 2020, about to go into 2021, this is a great time to prayerfully and carefully set goals for every area of our lives as we seek to go to the next level in God and prepare to face the challenges that lie ahead. On your screen there on the under 10 Steps to Destiny, you will find Genesis 24. There in Genesis 24 is a 10-step model for effective goal setting. There we have the insightful story of Abraham's servant Eliezer. Abraham had sent him to find a wife for his son Isaac. It's interesting that in the NIV, the word success is used 5 times. The word success is used more in this chapter than any other place in the Bible, and all the references refer how to set and reach goals. And so we're going to look at those 10 steps that Eliezer used thousands of years ago to accomplish his goal. And I'm going to show you how they work for us right now. It doesn't matter what you're doing, planning a business, a marriage, career, physical fitness program. The same 10 steps will enable us to effectively go for our goals and attain them. So if you're interested, here's the first one. Determine your position. Determine your position. When you are in the process of determining your position, you've got to ask yourself some questions. Where am I? Where am I at right now? What would I like to change? Evaluate your present condition. Do a frank assessment. Take an honest appraisal of your life and do a checkup. I ask myself all the time, where are you headed? And are you headed in the right direction? For example, if you were wanting to drop something off at my house and you called me from your cell phone and said, I want to come to your house, give me directions. What's the first thing that I would ask you? I would ask you, where are you? I've got to know where you are before I can tell you how to get to where you want to be. And I want to say this to us. It's never too late to begin fulfilling your dream. I want you to internalize that one. It is never too late to begin fulfilling your dream. This truth applies to all of life. Before you can plot a plan to take us where we want to go, we first must know where we are right now. Determine your position. Determine your position. Genesis 24:1 says, now Abraham was old, well advanced in age. And the Lord had blessed Abraham, in all things. Abraham remembered that God had promised to give him an abundance of descendants. He had a son by the name of Isaac, but Isaac didn't have a wife yet. So Abraham decided he better do something. I don't care who you are or what your age is, you're never too old to take the steps to fulfill your dream. Although Abraham was about 115 years old, he set a goal to find Isaac a wife. So the first step is determine your position. The second step, here it is to define your purpose. What does that mean? That means you got to plainly state your goal. Define it clearly. Say it out loud. Picture it. Focus on it. Rehearse it. Get an image of it in your mind. Know exactly what you want. Put those two things together. Know where you are and know what you want. Look at what Abraham said in Genesis 24:4 to his servant. Go to my country and to my family and take a wife for my son Isaac. Abraham knew exactly what he wanted. His goal was clearly defined. Once Eliezer, Abraham's oldest servant, reached the city of Nahor, he prayed a specific prayer. He asked God to identify the woman who would be Isaac's wife. In verse 14, he prayed, now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please let down your pitcher that I may drink. And she says, drink, and I will also give your camels a drink. Let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac. And by this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. We will never reach vague goals. The more specific a goal is, the easier it is to reach it. For example, many of us, as we're going out of this year into the next one, we might say things like, I want God to bless my life. Well, how will you know when God has blessed your life? Sometimes blessings come disguised as burdens. Sometimes blessings come in the midst of a storm. What's your goal? Be specific. Type that in for me real quick so I know you watching and paying attention. Be specific. What's your goal? You need to be specific. A vague goal has no drawing power. You need to know what you want. Here's how you can do it. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what do I want to be? That's the identity question. What do I want to be? That's the identity question. 2, what do I want to do? That's the vocation question. What do I want to have? That's the possession question. I'm going to repeat those for you. What do I want to be? That's the identity question. What do I want to do? That's the vocation question. What do I want to have? That's the possession question. You say, I want to travel. Great. Where? You say, I want to have a good income. Good. How much? I want a career. Fantastic. What kind? Somebody shout, I must be specific. In verse number 5, Eliezer had a typical reaction. The servant asked him, what if, in your Bible, I want you to circle that. What if the woman is unwilling to come back with me to this land? The typical reaction whenever you start to set goals is to immediately start to worry. What can go wrong? What if something happens? If you ever want to move from being a problem haver to becoming a problem solver, don't confuse the dreaming phase with the scheming phase. A lot of people don't want to make any decisions until they've solved all the problems in advance. Make the decision, then solve the problem. Don't confuse decision making and problem solving. They are two different aspects altogether. Let me give you an example. On May 25th, 1961, President John F. Kennedy announced to a joint session of Congress, I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. That was the dream. That was the decision. He did not figure out all the answers or the problems before he made the decision. He set the goal. We're going to go there. Once the decision making is out of the way, then you move into problem solving. When President Kennedy made his statement to Congress, it was physically impossible and technologically impossible to travel to the moon, but he made the decision and dealt with the obstacles later. Worry and fear will paralyze us. That's why a lot of people don't set goals. They start to set a goal and then say, what if I don't make it? If I don't make it, then I'll look like a failure. Fear of failure will paralyze you. How do you get rid of that fear and worry? I'll tell you on tomorrow when we talk about step number 3 and step number 4. But on today, we're closing out this morning as we are preparing for worship at 10 for the 10 steps toward your destiny. Number 1, determine your position. And number 2, define your purpose. It is my sincere hope and prayer that something has been said on this morning to richly bless you. And I pray that you will share with your friends, tag your friends and share this. Have them join with us starting this morning, every morning at 7:30 a.m. We're going to be partaking of 10 steps to destiny so that we can all become exactly who it is that God has called us to be. Don't forget worship at 10 this morning. We are planning a wonderful worship experience for you and hope to see you in the cyber sanctuary. See you then. God bless.